Hi guys, we're back, and today we're going to be putting the second layer on the white. Hopefully we will only need 2 layers, but we shall see. So we're going to start out with some cups like we always do. And guys, the real key to getting the look that we're after here and getting that depth is to use a lot of clear resin, because of course the layer underneath will show through the clear. But we can't use just clear because it would be boring. So we're also going to be using some of our white mica from Counterculture DIY and some acrylic ink, which of course is transparent and which if you don't have, just use your white paint, okay? So this is going to be our clear. I'm going to set this aside. And here is our white mica from Counterculture DIY. And you can see there, just the mica white. We're going to put that in this one. Okay. For our white acrylic ink, I'm just going to use my Doc Martens. If you don't have it, like I said, just use white acrylic paint. It's perfectly fine. Okay? So I don't want too much of this in there because I want to keep it nice and transparent. So we're just going to use a little bit. I'm going to stir these in. You want to get this acrylic, whether it's ink or paint, either one, you want to be sure and stir that in really well. Okay. See there? Nice and transparent. And for the Counterculture, let's stir this in. You got to start out with your powder stirred a little slower. Otherwise, it'll just kind of fluff up in the air like baby powder and go everywhere. And you want to make sure you stir that in really well. Okay. So there's the Counterculture. Really pretty as well. All right, so what we're going to start here with is you want to look at your piece and see which parts you really like and you really want to keep. Now over here on this side, I really like this edge here. And I also like kind of this little bit of gold here. And while I'm not adding gold to it, I do want to preserve those two. And then on this side, obviously, I want to save my gold shadows because we worked really hard to get those. I also really like this through here. I'm not crazy about this at all. I just really don't like it, to tell you the truth. So that's where we're going to start. And I've got my clear. I'm going to run a heat gun in that. You can see all the bubbles. Just a quick shot with a heat gun will get rid of most of those bubbles. And where I'm going to put this is I'm going to put it over our shadows first. So that's going to be first, because this will help block the other resin we're going to pour from going over those spots. Now, it won't block it entirely. You still have to be careful. Okay? But it will help. And I've also decided I like this here, so where I'm going to pour it over top of that. So that I can preserve those. I like that gold shadow, and I want to keep that. So I'm going to pour it over all of my gold shadows. You can see I poured quite a bit of clear on there. And I'm going to put some down kind of the middle of this gold too. Okay, now I'm just going to take my popsicle stick. I'm going to drag those two together. Same down here. I'm just dragging a little bit of that clear over my gold. Okay. Okay, so I really like this shadow here too. I just don't much care for what's next to it. So I've got a little more clear. And I am going to pour this right up next to my stones. That will help preserve that area. But I can still pour right next to it and cover up the parts I'm not crazy about. Okay, you can see I'm using quite a bit of clear on this. Okay, next I want to go with my transparent, because I just want to tone this down. I don't want to get rid of it entirely. And once we start heating this resin up and moving it around, you'll see that some of that will still show. Okay. And last, I'm going to go in with my mica. And I'm going to fill in the parts that I haven't put the other two on. This was the part that I didn't really care for. Wasn't real happy with how it came out. So I'm just going to cover it up. And I'm going to pull this clear over to that mica. So that when I start heating my resin, I don't have any bare spots. And I'm going to run a line of mica down through here as well. And I'm going to go right down the middle. Just like that. And then over here, I think I'm just going to put clear. I might add a little mica in there if I get this done and I think it needs a little more, but for right now I'm just going to use the clear. Okay. Next thing I need to do is get that covered all the way to the corner. There we go. Okay. So now we can torch this, get rid of those bubbles, heat up our resin, try not to set our tape on fire. Now we can come in with our heat gun. I still have, and I'm looking here, in case you're wondering, I want to have resin on the whole surface. And I got a little bare spot there. And I got a little spot there. So that's what that's about. This way, as we move our resin, the surface is already covered so it will move around easier. Gonna warm up our heat gun just like we always do. Make sure it's good and warm before we take it to our resin. Okay. Now this outside band, I don't want to necessarily blow it to the sides. I just want to soften those edges up. So you know how we do that. It's straight up and down. I still have a little spot with no resin. Right there. And this will break up those lines, but it won't interfere with keeping that resin where we want it. Okay? So that's that one. Now I'm going to get my little baby torch, and I want to superheat that because I want that to make some really nice effects for me. Yeah, I need to clean my little heat gun. It's spitting flames when it shouldn't. Yeah, they'll do that, guys, if your tip is dirty. So when that tip in there gets dirty, it will shoot flames. Not necessarily good. All right, now let's work on this. Again, I want a nice hot heat gun. And I'm going to start by going straight up and down, just like we did before. Get that resin, that mica to spread out a little. Now I'm going to blow it. And I'm going to be blowing it in different directions. Okay? I may not necessarily blow it all towards the center or towards the outside. And how I'm determining that is I'm looking at the parts that I want to keep, and I'm blowing it away from those parts. So here I'm blowing it towards the center to kind of calm down that gold. But then right here I've got this little blob of glitter that I don't care for. So I'm going to tone that down a little bit simply by putting a little mica over the top. Okay, now I'm going to torch it. I want those effects. And the Counterculture DIY doesn't make the same effects as the Mainspring. It just doesn't. But it does make some really nice effects. Okay? So I like that pretty well. So now I'm going to work on this over here. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with our clear. And I'm almost out of clear. So I need to put some more in there. Okay. And here I want to put the clear same way on the parts I want to keep. So I really want to keep this. I like my shadows. I like my gold. I don't want to cover up too much of either one of those. So I'm going to put some there. And I really don't want this white to interfere with my blue. I want to keep that. So I'm going to put some right along the edge of that blue. Okay, and I'm going to put some right along here. And then we liked this part, so I don't want to cover that up entirely. So I'm going to run clear right over the top of it. Now, as we blow our resin around, it will break it up some more. Okay, which is okay. Now I've got my transparent. I'm going to run that right down through here because I did want to tone that down some. I just don't want to cover it. And then finally with my micas, I'm going to run that here. And I'm going to run it back here between the two lines of clear. Okay. And then I'm take just a little bit more transparent right here to fill this spot. Okay. Now again, we're going to get rid of the bubbles, heat it up. And now we're going to blow it around just a little. So I want to break up that gold a little bit so it's not so obvious. And then I want to break up this white back here. And honestly, guys, that's enough. I like that a lot. I'm going to torch that mica, get that really hot so I can get my effects to pop. And that's it. That's all we need to do to this piece today. It's just a matter of getting the effects you want and getting them where you want. Let me take the camera down, guys, and I'll give you a close-up. Okay, guys, here's that corner. Look at how nicely we got the effects with that. See there? I'm really happy with this. I like that a lot. And then let's go over here to the main part. There's that blue glitter on the outside edge. And I got that hot enough, guys, that we got a little bit of cells out of that mica powder. Now let me explain to you how cells work. If you've ever done acrylic pouring, you know that you take the white and put it over the color, because white pigment, regardless of the media, whether it's acrylic paint, whether it's mica, the opaque whites that we typically make ourselves with, white pigment itself is very dense and very heavy. So when you put it down and then you blow it over the top of something else, what's underneath it is light. It's not as dense. So it wants to come up. That resin wants to come up to the surface. And as it does that, it breaks apart the white and makes the cells. I hope I explain that so that you understand what I mean. So then over here towards the center, I'm much happier with this. You can see that's got a lot of really interesting effects. See, we preserved our shadows. I've still got that little blob, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not as prominent and it won't hurt a thing. So you can see here, we still have our shadows under there. So we still have the parts of this that we wanted to keep. We just enhanced the rest. So guys, this painting is officially done. I'm going to let this cure. I'm going to show you how I remove my tape and what I do with my edges before I flood coat. And then we'll be flood coating it. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you very much. And as always, if there is something you want me to do, please tell me. Next up, we are going to be doing this jar lid when we get this project here finished. So that's it, guys. Everybody have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.